Hello again, I'm Ernesto Juan from ZuDhan Productions, and this is another episode of the series Traveling to Cuba Legally from the United States. In our last episode, we saw that 8 U.S. carriers had been granted permission by the Department of Transportation to fly directly to Havana and 9 other cities in Cuba. These airlines were American, Alaska, Delta, JetBlue, Spirit, Southwest, Frontier, and United Airlines. These 8 airlines out of 12 had been requested permission to travel to Havana and other cities in the island, but only 8 were granted permission. Yesterday we saw that this permission is only tentative and they can fly as early as September. If you go to any of these airlines websites, you will see that none of them are still offering flights to Cuba. The only one is American Airlines, where you can supposedly you can buy tickets to Havana and Holguin. Are these airlines really selling tickets to Havana, or this is only a promotional campaign? If you go to the websites of each of these airlines, you will see that they are not selling their tickets yet. Let us see the American Airlines webpage. Let's see how we can plan, let's see, a flight to Havana. We want to go from Miami to Havana, which is HAV, Havana Jose Marti International. And you see that automatically they give you this date, starting on the 13th. It starts on the 13th, so let's there is no earlier flight than that. Supposed to be on the, so let's say that I want to fly on the 13th and return on the 20th of September. And I want to say search. It says no flights were found. Try expanding your search by selecting alternative dates, class of services, airport number, blah 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 blah. Right, there is no flights to Havana. Even though you change here and you say that you want to fly from, let's say, October the 13th until October the 20th, and say that you want adults, the lowest fare, American Airlines. Let's see all carriers, and let's click here, continue. Still, it says there are no flights found. There is the Havana, I mean, even though they have said that they will be flying in as early as September. That's not true. They are not flying in September to Havana. Let's say, let's change this date and say that I want to fly in November. All right, I don't want to go in September. I don't want to go in October. I just want to go in November. I just say I want to fly on all carriers and continue. And still there are no flights found, so you cannot fly to Havana. They are saying that they are flying in September. They are not flying in September. They are not flying in October. They are not flying in November. Let's say I want to fly in December. So let me see, it's here that I want to fly in December. All right, I want to go on the 13th, and then I want to return. Let's say I want to return in January. I want to go to spend New Year's Eve there. I want to come on the 2nd of January. Let's see. All right, fine, continue. And there are still no flights to Havana. No flights to Havana. Now, let's see, let's change here. And I don't want to go to Havana. I want to go to Holguin, which is another province. Holguin, which H-O-G. And I want to fly in September. And I want to return in September again. September the 20th. Let's give it a try. And let's say continue. And now you see it's taking more time because it's looking for flights that they have to Holguin. And then we see here that we have flights to Holguin for $286. Going to Holguin that is September the 13th. I want to say here, yeah, I want to buy this ticket, and then it says here that round trip per person $286, and then I'm gonna find a return, which is included. I don't have to pay extra for the return. It will still be $286, and I want to check here, and then it says here that I want to continue. I don't want to do this I don't want to just join in as my A advantage. It says something is wrong. It says I want to continue as a guest. And then it says there is a sign, very interesting sign here. It says that if you want to visit Cuba, flying to Cuba from or through the United States for tourism is not allowed. It's not allowed. There are 12 acceptable travel reasons: family visits, official business, and then we see here, we have here visit to Cuba. Flying to Cuba from or through the United States for tourism is not allowed. Not allowed. There are 12 acceptable travel reasons: family visits, official business, journalistic activities, professional research. We analyzed this in episode 2 and 3, so I'm not going to go through this. But you have here humanitarian projects, religious activities, educational activities, and people-to-people exchanges. This is one of the most widely reasons that you can travel to Cuba, but not as tourism. And then it says here more about travel to Cuba. You can click here and it will take you to a website where it gives you some explanations about traveling to Cuba. And then by selecting continue, you agree that you complied with one of these 12 categories. So if you click continue here, then it says note, service between Miami and Holguin is subject to government approval. Still, you cannot fly. What happens if you say that you want to book this flight and you say that you want to go on to Holguin in September? What happens if you book the flight and by then the government hasn't approved this flight yet? So it's tricky. It's very tricky that if you want to fly to Holguin or any province in Havana that has airports destinations that you can fly, any U.S. carrier can fly to any of these destinations, it's still hard to tell that you will be accepted. So it's better to wait. As you can see, no flights to Havana yet through American Airlines or any other airline for that matter, so you still have to wait. I recommend that you have to wait because even though this flight's approval is tentative, these airlines cannot commit to sell you a ticket to fly to Havana or any other province in the island because it's not working. In our next episode, we are going to see that there is a lot of there are some campaigns in the United States, in the Senate of the United States, to revoke this approval to fly to Cuba. There is a lot of struggle of right-wing people that they don't want any type of relationship with Cuba, and they are struggling to impose restrictions or keep the restrictions for Americans to travel to Cuba. It's not an easy battle. There's a lot of powerful people fighting to abolish some of the categories, some of the 12 categories that we already analyzed before with Orlando Consuegra from Trogador Travel. We analyzed these 12 categories. You can watch them in chapter 2, episode 2 and episode 3 of this series, and you will see that there are 12 categories that you can follow in order to travel to Cuba legally. There is a lot of struggle in the among senators that they are trying to abolish or eliminate or shorten these 12 categories. We will see that in another episode. For the time being, see you then.